Have you ever heard of Africans begging their leader to stay? Never. But something has changed. Ibrahim Traoré is well loved and respected in and out of Burkina Faso, and calls for an extension of his tenure were heard when his term ended. There has never been an occurrence like this in African history. Ibrahim Traoré's devotion is an indication of his successful leadership. There are several rumors that his term may be extended. What effects will this have on all of Africa, though? Let's investigate. Burkina Faso's future is in jeopardy as the country nears a turning point in its political history. The transitional government led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré is about to come to an end after a time of notable reforms and audacious leadership. After taking office in September 2022 and receiving formal appointment as interim president a month later, Traoré promised to steer the nation toward elections in 2024. As the transition phase draws to an end, Traoré has made it known that he will resign, fulfilling his pledge to assist the return of civilian authority. Nonetheless, a flood of popular outrage has followed this statement, exposing a robust undercurrent of support for Traoré to hold onto this position of authority. Thousands of people have come together to show their support for his continuing his leadership role. This popular opinion underscores the complexity of the existing state of affairs, where the planned democratic transition is challenged by the need for stability and ongoing progress. In African nations, this hardly ever occurs. Most people desire a new leader because they are always weary of their current one. But Traoré is different. Why then is the case of Ibrahim Traoré different? In September 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traoré took office, becoming the youngest head of state in the world and capping a protracted era of political unrest. When Traoré was named interim president in October 2022, he promised to form a transitional administration and hold elections by July 2024. The goal of this transitional phase was to give Burkina Faso a chance to resolve its problems, which ranged from internal strife and terrorism to economic woes and security threats. As the deadline for the transitional government draws near, Traoré reaffirmed his intention to step aside and emphasized the significance of following the prescribed path for a democratic transition. The purpose of this announcement was to reassure observers, both local and foreign, about Burkina Faso's commitment to reverting to civilian governance. National consultations were held in Ouagadougou on May 25 and 26, ahead of the upcoming change. These discussions were essential in deciding what Burkina Faso's political future would entail going forward. To discuss and determine the future course of the nation, representatives from the military, political parties, and civil society convened. These meetings covered a wide range of topics, with a particular emphasis on important ones including whether elections could be held on time, whether an extension of the transitional phase would be necessary, and how to maintain stability while things are changing. Different points of view were expressed during the conversations, which was indicative of the participants' varied interests and concerns. Following the nationwide consultations, a number of important conclusions and suggestions were made. While some legislators argued in favor of sticking to the original schedule and holding elections in July 2024, others expressed doubts about the nation's readiness for such a change. Extending the transitional phase was justified by the necessity to build on the progress achieved under Traoré's direction, especially in the areas of security and economic reforms. The recognition of the broad popular support for Traoré was one of the most important results of the consultations. It was evident to participants that the public felt strongly, with many requesting constitutional changes to permit Traoré's leadership to continue. But this plan presented a difficult task, striking a balance between the pragmatic concerns of stability and continuity, and the democratic ideals. What about the general public? On May 11, thousands of people showed their support for extending Captain Ibrahim Traoré's transition period in Ouagadougou. The public's strong desire for Traoré to continue leading was expressed in this gathering. The number and variety of attendees at the rally, which included activists, locals, and even tourists from nearby nations, made it noteworthy. Add your voice to the total liberation of Africa by liking and dropping a comment on this video. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications bell for more informative videos like this one. Now let's continue. At the gathering, speakers emphasized Traoré's accomplishments and made the case that his leadership was essential to Burkina Faso's continued stability and progress. We think Captain Traoré has significantly improved things, and we need him to continue his work, one participant said, echoing the sentiments of many others who expressed a strong belief in Traoré's ability to lead the country through its current challenges. The rally demonstrated the widespread support for Traoré's leadership, with many different groups uniting to voice their approval. Locals spoke passionately about the improvements they had witnessed in their communities since Traoré took office, citing increased security and efforts to combat corruption. Activists praised Traoré's commitment to human rights and his willingness to engage with civil society. The presence of visitors from neighboring countries highlighted the regional significance of Traoré's leadership and suggested that his influence goes beyond Burkina Faso's borders. Speeches at the rally emphasized not only Traoré's past accomplishments, but also the need for continuity to ensure ongoing progress. Speakers argued that the transition period should be extended to allow Traoré to build on the foundations he had laid and to address the challenges that still lie ahead. They pointed to his success in stabilizing the country and implementing reforms as evidence of his capability and vision. The atmosphere was one of optimism and determination, with many attendees expressing hope for a brighter future under Traoré's continued leadership. The lack of coverage in Western media has sparked discussions about media bias, with many suggesting that if the citizens had demanded a swift transition to civilian rule instead, the event would have received extensive coverage. This disparity in coverage highlights the complexities of international media narratives and their impact on global perceptions. The limited coverage by Western media contrasts sharply with the extensive coverage local and regional news outlets and regional observers provided, capturing the positive and negative aspects of the rally. This difference in media narratives demonstrates how the West is unwilling to present positive images of Africa. The local and regional media covered the rally in great detail, offering reports and analysis. Journalists and observers noted the large turnout and the diversity of participants, indicating a wide base of support for Traoré. They recorded speeches and opinions from the attendees, highlighting the public's confidence in Traoré's leadership and their wish for him to continue leading the country through its current challenges. Now, a question that the international community needs to know the answer to is: what exactly did Traoré do to earn the trust of the locals? Burkina Faso has seen several notable reforms and initiatives and security improvements under Traoré's leadership. In the field of agriculture, Traoré's government has made significant investments in agricultural inputs and equipment with the goal of achieving food self-sufficiency. These efforts have begun to show results, as evidenced by increased agricultural productivity and decreased reliance on food imports. The drive for agricultural self-reliance has been a pillar of Traoré's domestic policy, addressing both economic and social needs. The focus on promoting local agriculture has improved food security as well as created jobs and livelihoods for many rural families, promoting stability and advancement in the countryside. In the mining sector, Traoré has put in place policies aimed at retaining more value within the nation and creating jobs. Notably, his administration, in addition to taking bold measures to balance the economy, such as refusing a presidential salary and reducing politicians' salaries, Traoré has been able to use the wealth generated by mining to fund infrastructure projects and public services that benefit the larger population. These actions have been well received by the public and have strengthened Traoré's image as a leader committed to national interests. Such measures have helped to instill a sense of fairness and accountability in the government, contributing to societal stability. Traoré has also set an example of integrity and responsibility by demonstrating personal sacrifice and a commitment to austerity, encouraging similar behavior throughout the public sector. One of Traoré's most symbolic economic measures was the reduction of politicians' salaries, including his refusal to accept a presidential salary. This move was widely applauded as a demonstration of his commitment to reducing government expenditure and addressing economic inequalities. Traoré's focus on security has been pivotal in maintaining order and protecting the populace from external and internal threats. His proactive stance on security has not only helped to neutralize immediate threats, but also to build a more robust defense infrastructure for the future, ensuring long-term stability and safety for the people of Burkina Faso. The initiative aimed to redirect financial resources towards essential public services and development projects, addressing the pressing needs of the citizens. Traoré's decision to forego his presidential salary resonated deeply with the public, bolstering his image as a leader genuinely invested in the nation's well-being rather than personal gain. This act of humility and responsibility helped to build trust and solidarity between the government and the people, reinforcing the perception of Traoré as a genuinely committed leader. It was not just a token gesture. Rather, it was a profound statement of his administration's values. It underscored his dedication to align the interests of government officials with those of the general populace. It aimed to reduce unnecessary expenditure and ensure that the state's resources were utilized efficiently and transparently. By leading by example, Traoré encouraged other officials to adopt a similar ethos of service and responsibility, promoting a more ethical and accountable governance framework. Traoré's administration has also implemented various policies aimed at balancing the economic system. These include measures to combat corruption, improve tax collection, and increase transparency in public finances. These initiatives have helped to create a more equitable economic environment, fostering trust and confidence in the government. Overall, these achievements under Traoré's leadership have significantly contributed to his strong public support, showcasing his commitment to the nation's economic, social, and security needs. His holistic approach to governance, encompassing agricultural development, resource management, economic reform, and security enhancement, has laid a solid foundation for continued progress and stability in Burkina Faso. While calls for constitutional amendments to allow for an extension of Traoré's leadership highlight the public's concern for stability and their belief in Traoré's capacity to continue leading the nation, the future outlook for Burkina Faso remains uncertain but hopeful as it navigates this critical period. The coming weeks will be critical as decisions regarding the potential extension of the transitional period or adherence to the scheduled elections will shape Burkina Faso's future. These decisions will have far-reaching implications, impacting political stability, economic growth, and security. Some argue that extending Traoré's term could provide the stability needed for Burkina Faso to overcome. The consultations concluded with several key outcomes and recommendations that will shape the next steps in Burkina Faso's political transition. There was general agreement on the need for flexibility, but there was also disagreement over the election timeline. It was recommended that the decision on whether to hold elections as scheduled or extend the transitional period should be based on a comprehensive assessment of the country's readiness, particularly concerning security and political stability. Finding a balance between these considerations will be crucial to ensuring a smooth and effective transition, regardless of the path chosen. You must be wondering what the outcomes are, considering recent reports that say his time has been extended. Recommendations included increasing support for the military, enhancing intelligence capabilities, and fostering regional and international security collaborations to combat terrorism and internal conflicts effectively. Participants recommended sustaining and expanding the economic reforms initiated under Traoré's leadership, Key suggestions included increasing investments in agricultural technology, promoting value addition in the mining sector, and implementing policies that ensure the population's economic benefits are widely distributed. The consultations underscored the importance of inclusive governance. Recommendations included enhancing the participation of women and youth in decision-making processes, addressing social inequalities, and promoting policies that foster social cohesion and national unity. Given the strong public support for Traoré, there were calls for considering constitutional amendments to allow for an extension of his leadership. This proposal was contentious, reflecting the tension between democratic principles and practical governance considerations. The calls for constitutional amendments to allow for an extension of Traoré's term reflect the public's concern for stability and their belief in his leadership. But they also raised difficult questions about the integrity of democratic processes and the potential risks of undermining democracy. In light of this, it was recommended that any constitutional changes be approached cautiously and with broad consensus to ensure legitimacy and stability. Now the question is, what does this strong public support mean for the future of Burkina Faso? Has the nation awakened? The public's desire for continuity and stability suggests that a rushed transition could be destabilizing, which complicates the scheduled democratic transition. Achieving a smooth and effective transition will require striking a balance between the necessity of democratic processes and the practical realities of the current situation. Additionally, if Captain Ibrahim Traoré's transitional government period is extended beyond the planned end date of July 2024, several positive outcomes and implications could arise across various facets of Burkina Faso's socio-political and economic landscape. Politically, an extension might give the government the extra time to continue. Many citizens may welcome the stability and continuity Traoré's extended tenure promises. Engaging more extensively with civil society during this period could also ensure that the eventual transition to civilian rule is more inclusive and participatory, fostering a stronger democratic foundation internationally. Finally, public sentiment toward an extension of Traoré's rule is likely to be positive if his administration continues to enjoy significant popular support due to its achievements. Furthermore, avoiding the immediate disruption that elections could bring in a still fragile environment might allow for a more secure and credible electoral process in the future. This support could translate into continued or even enhanced assistance in security and economic development, strengthening Burkina Faso's strategic partnerships. Economically, an extension of Traoré's rule could provide much-needed continuity for economic policies and reforms that are already underway. This stability might bolster investor confidence and contribute to sustained economic growth, particularly if long-term projects in infrastructure and mining continue to receive support. Moreover, ongoing development initiatives aimed at improving agricultural productivity and achieving food self-sufficiency could benefit from the additional time, helping to secure economic stability and growth. In terms of political stability, Burkina Faso has made significant strides towards democratic governance, evident in the recent dialogue for the transition from military to civilian rule. The willingness to engage in political dialogue and transition processes signals a commitment to stability and democratic principles. Burkina Faso presents economic opportunities due to its abundance of natural resources, which include fertile land and minerals. Investment in important sectors such as agriculture, mining, and renewable energy can stimulate growth and create jobs. Socially, the resilience of the Burkinabe people, as evidenced by their ability to overcome obstacles and adjust to changing circumstances, portends well for the future of the country. Social cohesion and resilience in the face of adversity are facilitated by strong community ties and a culture of mutual support. And with the leaders that the people adore, Burkina Faso is headed in the right direction. Thank you for watching. See you in our next video, and please subscribe and turn on the notifications bell for more informative videos like this one.